Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my 5th episode of my series Sapphic Reads. So if you don't know, if you've not already checked out the previous videos, A, I recommend you watch them. B, this is a series where I just talk about the Sapphic books that I've read and enjoyed and really want to recommend to you and just put a spotlight on these books. So in this video I've got a range of different books. I've got a new favourite, I've got a couple of 2021 releases, I've got some fantasy, some contemporary, some horror even. I've got a whole mix. It's just going to be a good fun time and I just cannot wait to talk to you about these books, so let's just get started. The first book I want to talk about is One Last Stop by Casey McKiston. This is one I've obviously spoken about quite a bit on my channel recently. It is a new all-time favourite. I just absolutely adore it. So this book comes out June 2021 and I highly recommend that you pre-order it or request it from your library or whatever you do just to get your hands on it as soon as possible. It is so good. So this follows August, who is in her early 20s and she's just moved to New York for a kind of fresh start. So we follow her getting an apartment, getting a job, the usual stuff. You meet her roommates who are just so cool. I love Casey McKiston's characters. They are just so real and just so weird and I love it so much. And of course, living in New York, August ends up on the subway and there she meets Jane. And so they've got this kind of instant attraction, but then August gets off the train, she thinks that's it. But she gets on the train, Jane is there again, and this keeps happening. Jane is always on the train when August is. And so they end up speaking, flirting a bit, and we discover that Jane is trapped on the train. She cannot get off, and that she's been trapped for quite a while. She has been displaced from the 70s. And so this book follows them trying to figure out what happened to Jane and to fix her situation, as well as their romance happening. And you've also got some side plots happening that are just an awful lot of fun. I don't want to go into too much detail because I want to keep this a bit quick. But I just absolutely adored everything about this book. I have a full review on my channel. It's completely spoiler free. If you want to know more, and I do recommend particularly if you're interested in learning about the characters, because I spoke about them for a good while just because there's so much to talk about. Casey McKiston has this real talent for creating these authentic characters and I just love reading their books. And so this is sapphic because you've got a bisexual main character, August, and a lesbian love interest, Jane, and I just love these two together so much. They're so perfect together and I loved reading them flirting, and then I loved reading them after flirting once they're together. It was just their dynamic, their chemistry is just amazing. Love it. And through Jane talking about her past and her experiences, you also get this insight into queer life in the 70s. And I really also enjoyed reading this. It was hard hitting at times. It is not sugar coated, but I think it was just so interesting to read and it really just contributed to Jane's character and it's just so good. And so there's this massive emphasis on queer community and found family and just all these things I adore in this book, and honestly it's like it was written for me. It's got so many things I love and I just really cannot wait for it to release so that everyone else can read it and just love it as much as I do, hopefully. Yeah, I felt such a connection to these characters, to August specifically, and her experiences of kind of feeling like she's not yet found her place or her people and feeling a bit lonely, really. And I completely related, and I just really loved the hopeful message you have to that feeling that one day you will find your people and your place. And I just loved it so much. This book is, I can see it becoming such a comfort read that I just return to time and time again when I'm feeling like maybe I've not found my place, and I love it so much. Next up I read Ironheart by Nina Varela, but I'm going to talk about the whole duology in kind of one go here. I reread Crier's War before I began Ironheart, but when I spoke about Crier's War in the first episode of this series, it had been a while since I read it, so I just wanted to talk about the duology as a whole, and also because I can't separate books in the series, so I have no idea what happened in which book. But yeah, anyway, So this is a fantasy duology. It is set in this world where Otome rule. And so these are essentially robots created by alchemy, which is kind of science magic blend, which is really interesting. But they're incredibly human-like, lifelike in terms of how they look and behave, but they are not. They pride themselves on being, very reasonable, very composed. They don't really have feelings in the same way that humans do, or like to pretend they don't at least. And so you follow a dual perspective between Crier, who is the daughter of the sovereign, and Ayla, who is a human. And the humans have not been treated very, very well in this world. They are very much subjugated, and the Otome rule over them quite harshly. And Ayla is part of the resistance. She's working to try and overthrow the Otome. And so you follow them meeting, Ayla becoming Crier's handmaiden, and each of their own journeys and how they kind of fall in together in this enemies to lovers romance we've got going on. And oh, it's just so, so, so good. I really, really love it. I think the yearning is done so well between the two main characters, and I just love their relationship. So this duology is really quite political, and I just love that. I thought it was done so, so, so well. The politics are interesting to read as well, which isn't always the case, I find, in high fantasy, but I really, really enjoyed reading them in this one. I just like both of the characters so much individually. Crier is just so naive, but learning. But I just loved reading from her perspective. She's just so soft, I suppose. She's just not quite sure of everything that's happening, but she's learning. Ayla, I love as well. She's going through some stuff, but she's just such a delight to read from as well, and I just loved her kind of internal conflict between the revolution and her growing feelings for Crier, and oh, there is so much angst, so much yearning, and it is so, so, so well done. I love this duology an awful, awful lot. I would say that Crier's War is stronger than Ironheart in my opinion, but I do love them both. The next book I want to talk about is Sockle Girls by Claire Legrand. So this is a young adult horror novel, and you're following the perspectives of 3 different girls living on an island called Sockle Rock. And so on this island, girls have been disappearing for years and years. And one of your main characters, Zoe, has really been looking into this because her best friend very recently disappeared. And she's discovered that a lot of the girls throughout history have been connected to the family of Val Mortimer, who is another perspective you follow, and she's like the queen bee. And these girls, they do not get along at all, but they both meet Marion, the new girl. And Marion's very much in between them and trying to navigate, who to believe, who to trust in this world. Well, not world, in what seems like a new world that is life on the island. And so, because it's a horror, there are bad things happening, of course. These girls keep going missing, and it's getting worse and worse. It's getting closer and closer together. And so this is sapphic because 2 of your point of view characters, these girls, have some feelings going on for each other, and I loved reading their relationship and how that influenced what they were doing elsewhere. I don't want to spoil the book, but I just really liked how their relationship played into the story. And so actually the third narrator is not sapphic, but she's Ace, which is really, really cool. And I also just loved how that was just very casual and part of the story, and how that was dealt with in the terms of her relationship, and oh, it was just very, very good. These relationships are like really sweet points in among quite obviously a dark novel. So yes, this is a horror. I wouldn't say it's terribly scary, but it is really quite dark in terms of your antagonist, I suppose. And I don't want to spoil what the antagonist's role is, but it's like dark and it's creepy, and I'm not a fan. But this book just has so much like girl power and feminism to it, and I love that so much. I just thought that was so fun to read. I really, really enjoyed that. So yes, this is not where I would go if I was looking for like a sweet sapphic romance, but this is very good time, very immersive, and I would very much recommend it. The next book I want to talk about is a sweet sapphic romance, and that is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. So this is a new release of 2020 and it's one that I've seen hyped an awful lot, and I can say it is definitely worth the hype. This is a lot of fun. I read it in almost one sitting. Just a good time. So this follows a main character called Liz, and she is a senior in high school in the States, and she's looking to get a scholarship to go to her top college. But when she doesn't manage to get it, she's kind of scuppered because she cannot afford to go, but she really wants to go. Her mother, who's now sadly passed, went, and it's a legacy thing. She really wants to go. And her town makes prom such a big deal to the point where those who win prom king and queen get scholarships. So she ends up in the race for prom queen. Now Liz is, I think, the only black girl or one of very, very few black kids in her school. She's not very popular. And so running this race isn't just very simple. And I loved reading about the prom queen race. Like, we don't really do that here. We don't have prom court or all that. Like, our prom was barely a dance. It was absolute shite. Not gonna lie, it was not very well organized. Anyway, so I just find it very, very interesting in American books, really. YA ones and like older teen films as well, when they make prom such a big deal, and it's a lot of fun and drama. And I liked it in this one where there was really quite a lot of depth to why Liz was running. And then it also had a bit of commentary on this process of running for prom king or queen and those who are really prioritized by the system, which is obviously not Liz for a number of reasons I've listed. And anyway, this is Sapphic. Liz is queer and she has a female love interest in Mac, who is also running for prom queen. She's one of the new kids. She's just kind of done this as a fun thing, and they strike up a friendship and then a relationship. And I loved reading about them both. I loved Mac. She's just very, very cool. And I just loved their relationship and how that influenced, obviously, the race for prom queen and everything. I just thought it was a lot of fun. This whole book is just so fun, and it was my last book I read in 2020 and just the perfect way to finish off the year on a very light note. I would 100% recommend this, especially if you're like feeling a bit down or in a bit of a slump and you need something to just get you motivated to read or really cheer you up. I think it's just the perfect book for that. It's just, like I've said, it's fun, it's sweet, it's everything you'd want in a rom-com. The next book I read was an advanced copy of The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. So this book comes out early 2021. I'm not quite sure if it'll be out by the time this video goes up, but it's another one I really recommend you look into getting when it comes out. It is so good. So this is a thriller. It is set during a bank heist. So your main character, Nora, is an ex-con artist, and she goes to the bank with her two friends, Wes and Iris, to deposit some money from a fundraiser, blah blah blah. And there's some tension between the two of them because Wes had just walked in recently on Iris and Nora kissing because they are together and he hadn't realised this yet, and there's a bit of friendship drama going on there. But yes, anyway, they end up in the bank. People come in to rob it, they end up as hostages. But because Nora is an ex-con artist, it's maybe not going to go quite as easily as the guys might have expected when they decided to rob it, and she makes life a bit difficult for them. So you follow Nora trying to get her and her friends and the other hostages out, and you're also getting flashbacks to her past and to these girls she has had to become and impersonate while living as a con artist with her mother, and how they influence her decisions now. And it's so well done. These dual timelines just work together so perfectly, and like you're reaching a climax in them both at the same time, and it's like you cannot put the book down. It's so good. This is unlike any thriller I've ever read. It is incredibly character driven, so focused on Nora's character and some of her trauma, and it's so good. I really enjoyed reading it. And so this is Sapphic because, as I've said, Nora and Iris are together. Nora definitely uses the label bisexual. Iris is definitely queer. I'm not entirely certain. I don't think there's a specific label used. But I love their relationship. Iris is Iris wears like vintage dresses with like full petticoats and everything. She's just very, very cool and badass, and I love her a lot. Nora is also such a badass because of obviously her past, and she just would kill for her friends, her chosen family, without hesitation. And something else I just really, really loved about this book is that Iris suffers from endometriosis, and so her periods are very, very difficult. And she's on her period during the bank heist. And this book just absolutely did not shy away from showing this. Like, it comes up a few times, and it's so very, very rare that periods are discussed in a book. And I just loved that it was done here, especially bringing attention to endometriosis, which I've never heard of in a book before. And I loved that a lot. Honestly, this book and the exploration of Nora's character is so, so well done. I cannot explain it. But this was an arc, so I do have a full review that kind of might word this a bitty better than I'm doing right now, which I would recommend you give a wee read. It's linked down below. Yes, I very highly, highly recommend this book, and I hope that you will consider picking it up when it comes out. It is just so good. I need to read more of Tess Sharp's books. There's a few and they're all on my radar. I need to just pick them up, especially after loving this one so much. And yes, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you found maybe a new book to pick up. As I've mentioned, there will be links to reviews down below, and I'll leave Goodreads links for all of the books. And you can also find my social media and that down there if you're interested in seeing more from me and what I'm reading as I'm reading it. Yes, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you in another video soon.